The comment section on our YouTube channel is hilarious. There's people from all over the world that are super complimentary on what we do. And every once in a while, I get sort of the troll that says, like, are you being paid by the city of Orlando or Disney to say all of these great things about Orlando? Listen, I can't even get Foxtail to sponsor me, let alone Disney. But here's the thing. I help people buy and sell. So whether you're moving in to buy or you're moving out because you don't like it, I'm here. But ultimately, I'm a big fan of Orlando and everything that's coming. That being said, I think that having good data to back up your decision on whether to move here or not, or be excited if you already live here about the future of Orlando is really important. And so I actually dove in quite a bit today, and I looked at a report for the Orlando Economic Partnership. They put out basically their 2030 plan back in 2019 and basically where they saw Orlando going. This report was pre-pandemic, and so it was interesting to see their forecasting and how some things held up and other things didn't. So today we're talking a little bit about what Orlando is going to look like in 2030. Stay tuned. All right, so this report was put out in 2019, prior to the pandemic, prior to people moving here in droves. They were looking at the current amount of people moving to the area and saying, okay, based on this, based on the jobs, based on sort of our normal migration currently, where do we think we're going to be at in 10 years? And they guesstimated that 1,500 people were going to move here every single week. Then what pandemic hits, and you would think that maybe those numbers would drop. In fact, completely opposite happened. In the 5 county areas, not only were there more than 1,500 people moving here every week, but in Orange County in 2021, there are over 1,000 people moving to Orange County, which is where Orlando sits, every single week. And so is that sustainable forever? I mean, eventually we're going to run out of land. People will have to continue to spread out. But is that sustainable for the next 10 years? I don't know. But basically, they're thinking that we're going to go from 4 million people today to 5.3 million people in 2030. All right, so the second thing they talked about was employment growth. Now, we saw massive layoffs in 2020 and 2021 regarding the tourism and hospitality industry. We're just now seeing a lot of those people get called back. A lot of our friends, a lot of the people I see on LinkedIn and throughout the country that were laid off are now going back to work. And I think that's an amazing thing. But looking at just over the past 2 years on the different companies that have moved to Central Florida and brought a lot more jobs, you've got 2,000 obviously coming from California from the Disney relocation, but there's over 4,000 total jobs that were relocated with other corporate companies, aviation companies, tech companies, Fiverr. Like if you've ever been to Fiverr, Fiverr, they brought 100 people here. And so it's everything from small businesses all the way on up to big corporations are relocating jobs here. And so I think that's going to continue with not only the population growth, but the opportunity for people to diversify in employment here in Central Florida. So this report, again, was put out by the Orlando Economic Partnership. So their job is to make Orlando look amazing to companies from all over, partner with them to bring them to the area. And so when I look at like sort of the industries that they're targeting to bring to the area, a lot of it is home and healthcare services. So healthcare, as you can see anywhere here in Central Florida, Avon Health, Orlando Health, there's hospitals popping up everywhere, and there's health services as well and technology stuff behind that are creating well-paying jobs all over. But then you've got the home services. So really everything from construction to electricians to painters to just anything that you would need in home. Another growth sector that they're pushing for, manufacturing jobs. That's another big one. I mean, the industrial space here, from the Amazon fulfillment centers to Walmart to like all the kind of industrial jobs, are starting to do really well. And then from the other piece on aviation, that's the last piece that they put in here that I think I was really impressed to see. Everything that supports flying cars to NASA to everything in between is moving here to Central Florida because of the sort of the land opportunities that they have to grow some of these manufacturing and industrial spaces. So you add that to the also growing tourism industry that we have here, and it really makes for a little bit more diversification, a little bit more opportunity to keep up with some of the pricing of increasing housing here in Central Florida. I mean, 38% rent increases last year alone. So we need better paying jobs to be able to have people to afford it long term. And so looking at their vision for the future, I think it's really spot on for the opportunity ahead of us. Like, where are all these people coming from? I was really interesting to see sort of the net migration of people coming from all over the country and over the world. A couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, I did a video on Kissimmee St. Cloud, and in it I mentioned this U-Haul study that came out. And every year they say, where do we see the most amount of trucks going and not returning, right? So people are doing one-way destinations, and the number one in the entire country was Kissimmee. And so that was an aha for me. So we reverse engineer it, like, where are these people coming from? And so it looks like Denver, Dallas, Seattle, Atlanta, New York, Chicago, DC, really everywhere. But here's an interesting stat that I wrote down. 1 out of every 9 Orlando residents that moved here since 2010 came from another country. We have people from Canada, Brazil, the UK, Argentina. I did a Zoom call the other day with somebody from Switzerland. Shout out to you. Kind of getting to know the area before they relocate here for work. All of that sort of is, I think, a part of a healthy economy and thing that really makes Orlando very unique. It's very interesting to find somebody that's actually was born here. It's like the unicorn. You're like, when people say that they were born in Orlando, you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like, you rarely hear that, right? Because so many people are inbound and then kind of grow up from there. And so it's a fun part of Orlando. I think it's a cool thing to be a part of. So there is a problem that I see in Central Florida. I think that our education system is being taxed like never before. And this specific study talks about it really very clearly. There's 135,000 school-age kids that will be added to the system, which will require something like 29,000 teachers and administrators that will need to be added into the school systems. Problem is, it's not super attractive for teachers in Central Florida to come work here. Yes, you're saving a little bit on state income tax, and that is a big savings. But when they're not paying their teachers enough, especially starting out, it's hard to keep great talent in the area or attract great talent to the area. So that would be my number one thing. As a real estate agent, I'm not allowed to say which schools are good and bad and what areas are safe or not. It's just part of our licensing law. But what I can tell you is that my kids are in public schools and we enjoy them, and they can always improve. And so I think that you improve by attracting better talent, retaining great talent, and the way that we're going to grow better as a community is going to be investing in education. The rest of this report kind of goes into some like speculative things on what they're excited about, but I'm going to finish this video on what I'm most excited about coming to Central Florida over the next 8 years. Number one is going to be Epic Universe and potentially Disney's response to this. They're always going back and forth, tit for tat, Universal and Disney. And so now Epic Universe opens up another Harry Potter world, How to Train Your Dragon, all these cool things, and Disney's going to have to do something to respond. My hope would be what some of you guys have told me is going to be like the next gate would be like the Villains Gate, which I think would be so cool. And so seeing how tourism levels up over the next 8 years will be a lot of fun to watch. The second thing I'm most excited about is I-4 Ultimate being finished. Having that toll road in the middle of I-4, having the freaking construction finally finished is going to be really exciting. But being able to get around town a little bit more easy from Lake Mary all the way down to Davenport, I think will open up sort of our area as people need to expand for more affordable housing and the new jobs coming to the area. The number 3 thing I'm most excited about is downtown Orlando, looking at the new buildings going up from the retail to the housing to the Amway Center expansion to Creative Village. Everything going on downtown Orlando is going to make it significantly different than it is today. And I think it's awesome already, but I think it can improve and it'll be a lot of fun to watch. The fourth thing I'm most excited about is the airport finishing out. It's a $1.8 billion expansion. And why is that important? Well, for one, it's going to be bringing more flights to the area. It's going to make Orlando more of an international destination. But even beyond that, it's going to make Orlando right in the center of Florida, sort of that hub and spoke model where people are flying in and then driving out. For industry, you're going to have a lot of things I think that is going to be pivoted off of the expansion of our airport and that entire area. The last thing is is going to be industry. When I see the areas like Lake Nona expanding, the tech industry, Space Coast kind of coming in a little bit towards Orlando, it'll be really interesting to see how we evolve as a city, as a people and a population. It's going to be a lot of fun to be a part of. All right, so that's my review of the Orlando Economic Partnership's vision for 2030 and a little bit of intro to what I think is going to go on in the area. So let me know down below, what are you most excited about here in Central Florida? If you already live here, you're thinking about moving here, I want to hear your guys' comments down below. By the way, thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it all the way to the end, you're the real rock star here. You're the real MVP. So make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're thinking about making a move in or out of Orlando, my team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. So email us at info@pozekgroup.com. We'll see you guys on the next video.